And what are we jamming on now? Jay, what are you jamming on now? Looks like Diablo, probably. Makes a lot of sense.
Yep, a lot of games. First, I feel like we need to talk about ESO.
Oh.
As you may or may
So
not
Diablo
know,
must suck then. We've gotten to the bottom of this.
No, it definitely does not. It definitely does not. But first, I had to. It would be remiss if I did not mention ESO in this chapter. That they just released the newest ESO chapter. Necrom released a brand new class, like the Arcanist. A new trial, new storylines, all that kind of good stuff. And I could not care less. For the first time in like 8 years, I have uninstalled the game and I am done.
You said those words in our last episode, and I don't know if that's why I started seeing ads for it or noticed them and I had already been, I don't know, whatever. But I saw those words in an ad for ESO after you said them on the thing, and I don't know, I just thought
feed
that
the
notable.
algorithm for you. Yeah, man. It's I wanted to reflect on it because, the best of the times I had there for somebody. This is the only game I've played for such a long time in my life, and had a lot of great times when we had an active guild. After moving to Seattle, they were a big part of my social scene because it was adults only. So like we would get on, shoot the shit. Like I made a lot of guild friends there that, I play other games with. But at this point, like the guild friends I played with don't really play the game anymore. Like there's just not enough to keep me going in that game. So
have you ended up luring any of them over to Diablo as I suggested?
Oh yeah. Oh for sure.
Okay.
Oh for sure. Okay. There's several of them that made their way over there on their own, and a couple people I was like, yo, you got to get on this. So yeah. Close the chapter on ESO and definitely have been jamming so much on Diablo 4. I have 2 characters now. You can see Black He-Man behind me if you're watching this on the screen. I love this dude, my barbarian. He's not the first player I made. I made my sorcerer first like I always do. But having a barbarian that looks so badass and has such great skills, it's just a lot of fun. I'm playing with family members, people at work, people in the old guild, like it's still a blast. Like I pretty much got so Courtney and I are still playing through the main story with my sorcerer, but I like my barbarian so much that I basically leveled him up to the same point so I can just take him forward instead. It's great. A lot of great gear, the great storyline. Everything's solid about it. Except the fucking microtransactions. It is, but at the same time, I don't think you need them. So if you don't know, the skins, everything in this game is absolutely expensive. It's like you see a cool set of gear you want to buy. It's like fucking $25 or something. Like absolutely not. Like the same kind of set you would see in a different game, like a Halo Infinite. A cool set is like $10 equivalently, maybe 12 on an expensive one. So it's just like it's absolutely just gouging. But at the same time, you get so much awesome gear in the game, and they have like a transmog system where when you pick up stuff, if you salvage it, you can now like make your own gear look like that. So it's really not even necessary to buy those. So that just seems like an extra money play to people looking out for the whales, and trying to fleece them for some extra cash, but absolutely not necessary for enjoying the game and making the character look the way you want them to look. So playing that continuously. Outside of that,
I saw there was, I need to keep better notes. Better shit talking notes. I've seen there's a few things I've seen people talking shit about, and I'm trying to think. I'm sure microtransactions is obviously one of them, but no, I mean if that was because that's obviously disgusts me as well. So I mean I would remember that it was something more nuanced than that. But so I guess this is a pointless diversion of.
Well, I will say I do know, like if you play the game on hardcore mode, where you can't die. If you die, you lose everything and have to start over from the beginning. A mode I would never play personally. I like tough games, but not that. I don't want to accidentally die and have that happen to me. But I did hear about, because you have to always be online. I know there was like the first person who made it to like 100. Like
oh yeah, that's what. It was online shit.
Disconnect.
Yep. Well, a whole bunch. They got. That's what it was. They got hacked, and everyone was fucked for a while.
Oh, I didn't even.
There was a big hacking thing, and they weren't. No one was able to get online for an extended period of time. And
that happens often, like a DDoS direct, service attack.
Those letters seem to. I think that's what it was.
A bunch of people get together and they're like, we're taking this game down because we're mad at it for whatever reason, or we're sticking it to the man or whatever. But yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But that sucks as well when that happens. But yeah, it's funny. I have so many new games, so I got a bunch of new games recently. Just being at work, finding out a bunch of extras that people are no longer playing. For the first time ever, not ever. Let me take that back. For the first time in years, I picked up a game with no recommendations, never heard of it before, just because it looked like my type of game, and I'm absolutely glad I did. The game's called Raiden 3. I actually picked up Raiden 3 and 4, but because 3 is so good, I'm just playing that right now, and it is a awesome flying shooter. I almost put like the screenshot up behind me because it's like, you know me and my flying shmups and like how I love them. If you took like the best flying shooter, vertical flying shooter you can think of, and like made it for the Series X with like upgradable weapons and like graphics.
Yeah, I feel like I don't even see that kind of thing on modern systems.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is like one of those things. I think we got it like from the publisher because they sent some extra copies, you know, to the office, and we had a couple extras lying around. So I picked it up, and it is a freaking blast. I'm kind of mad that I've never even seen like any kind of promotion for this game. It's absolutely great. Yeah, not much else to say about that. It's a flying shooter. You know me. It's my jam. Also, Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions, based off the Creed movies. Any chance you've heard of this?
I think there's actually a Creed game for Quest 2. I mean, yeah, I know that they've made boxing games based on it. I don't know about that one specifically, but
yeah, I've been playing so many first-person shooters for so long, and like, you know, whenever I just need like a 15-minute, let me just de-stress or go hurt somebody type of thing, that's what I go to, you know, a Halo Infinite type of thing. But like, I've been looking into just something else, like, can I get into wrestling, boxing, something like that. So another one of those games, I was like, oh, I haven't heard of this before. But, you know, based off of the Creed movies, which I enjoy, the Rocky movies, my mom loved them, watched them because of her. And then Creed, you know, solid franchise on its own. But yeah, this one is the now iconic Adonis Creed. And, you know, decent storyline to get through him. But then once you play through his storyline, there's still a whole row of boxers to unlock based on the Rocky movies and the Creed movies as well. And it's so fun, just like hand-to-hand combat, knocking fools out. I had to play through this other loser storyline to unlock Mr. T, aka Clubber Lang, my favorite, you know, bad guy from all of the Rocky series, and he just knocks motherfuckers out with a one. It is so much fun. Like, there's sometimes, you know, when you get off work and I'm just like, trying to de-stress. Yeah, Halo's fun, but like I'm almost too good at that game now to where like it's always like a focus and like strategy and all this kind of stuff. Whereas like boxing, yeah, there's strategy, but it is just far more satisfying when you're in the mood to just like hit somebody with a special uppercut and bounce them off the ring ropes. So incredibly fun. I've unlocked Rocky. He's a blast. Apollo Creed, you know, some other people. Freaking Ivan Drago, the Russian, like just knocking fools out with his power. And each character has their own boxing
If he dies,
style.
he dies.
Exactly. Like I definitely unlocked Apollo Creed and got revenge against Ivan Drago. But like his like, I forget what they call him. Maybe like a slugger versus like different finesse boxers. Each boxer has their different style. So depending on who you get, you know, they're much more good with the rope-a-dope versus like one shots. Like if you hit them, like a lot of times, if he or Clubber Lang hits you, you're going down to one knee. Like you're staggering and it's going to be a problem. So I really like the nuance that they included for each of the boxers. So if you're into like a boxing game, highly recommend that game. I got a couple other ones as well, but I haven't played through them enough yet, so I'll save them for the next episode.
Okay.
But yeah, lots of boxing, lots of flying shmup action, and then hack and slash through Diablo. That's been filling my time, man. What about you?
I also have had some mindless things that I maybe don't normally talk about probably in these little fucking things. But the first thing coming off that Legend of Zelda Doom mod that I talked about last time, I mentioned I thought I saw a Castlevania idea in that launcher as well. So I went and downloaded that and checked it out, and it is it's called Castlevania Simon's Destiny, and it is a Doom 2 mod. And it's fucking great, but they expect you to platform. And
Platform,
I don't know,
VR platform.
VR, it is VR also, yes. but I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is that it's in the Doom 2 engine, which, if you recall, jumping in those games, it's fucking awful. And yeah, I mean, the VR, it's cool, and they are a 3D space, and that makes the game cooler for sure. But like your actual, it's not real 3D, it's flat pixels in a 3D space. So it's not...
It's no Astrobot 3R. It's not like made for... It's not what you expect. Yeah.
Precisely. So, I don't know. I guess it would be possible for, whatever. But I think it's more that it's in the Doom 2 engine is the problem. And yeah, Doom 2 platform. And I don't even know if Doom 2 really had much jumping in it, if any. But it's definitely a big thing in Hexen and Heretic. And awful. It's fucking terrible. And I mean, yeah, even in Heretic and Hexen, you're just saving before you make any jump of any note whatsoever. And like I said, it's Castlevania, so it's like just as much of the... maybe not just as much, but it's a lot. And it's not fun to have to save every fucking 3 seconds, It's just not fun. No, so that is a real drag on what otherwise would be really cool. Because, it's the fucking whip, too. So it was wild how it has the aiming thing going on, just like as if you were a gun, but with the whip instead. So it's just a cool... Like, I didn't expect to have that with it's not quite a melee weapon, but it's close, So yeah, I didn't expect to have that same kind of, like, free-range attack, whatever. So that was a cool part of it, but yeah, the jumping's fucking not fucking good. So I was like, well, I can't fucking stick with this, as much fun as it is, and the music's great, and yada, yada, yada. But I started digging around for more things in there, and really started playing Brutal Wolfenstein, which is what's behind me right now. And this is absolutely elite, dude. Like, I had played, like, Wolfenstein was my introduction to those ID first FPS games, Oh,
really?
I had my uncle on that shitty little 2 megabyte of RAM IBM PS2 he had that on there, and like, he didn't have an onboard sound blaster, but he like would tell me about how like on, like a little bit better of a computer, you could get a Sound Blaster 16, and those dudes would be yelling in German, and the dogs would be barking and shit. And like, I know this, it's so hard. There's no way for someone like a modern gamer who didn't live through that era at an old enough age to be like really cognizant, at least to some degree, as I was as like an early teen, of like how earth-shattering this was to like be killing Nazis and they're yelling at you in German and you're just blowing them away. Like that it was like unreal. Like the dogs, like I said, barking at you and shit, and they're like it just mind-blowing whatever game development advancement, so that hit me really fucking hard back then. And, but even on that shitty computer, it would run. So I played a lot of the first episode, but I just had the shareware version. I never had the later episodes. And there's like 6 or 8, I don't know, a whole bunch of fucking episodes. So I played through the first one all the way. There's 9 floors to that. So, I don't think I'd even done that, to be honest with you. But I played through all of that. Great. Beat the fucking final boss, this big, huge fucking dude, And then started into the second episode, and these are full, like, Brutal Doom is like, I don't know, it just turns it into kind of like bloodier, and like it's just like extreme violence, so like, you'll fucking mow down a room and there's like blood dripping from the ceilings and shit. It is just like absolute mayhem, so really, really cool visually. But yeah, I hadn't played into the second episode, and it's not just Nazis. You get into like these undead hordes and stuff that are, I don't know, I just didn't expect that to be in the Wolfenstein thing. I thought it would just be Nazis the whole time, because the first few floors of the first episode, it is like, so in the old version, that's the thing too, these remakes, the brutal, the one I'm playing is like a reimagining of the first 2 episodes. So it's like, I think it's similar, but like a little bit,
they added more to it.
Yeah, it's a little more flair to it. So there's like all these zombies and shit. There's just way more to the world, and I'm kind of blown away with the, I guess, layers to it that I didn't think this game would have or does have. So yeah, the second one is like all this laboratory stuff, all these, you're fucking blowing up beakers and like these fucking vats of industrial waste and stuff that they're making these fucking creatures from and shit. It's a lot more going on than I thought there was. And I'm actually at the second boss for this second episode, and he's like, or the final boss, and he is like this massive, crazy ass scientist, and he's just vaping me over and over and over again. So I'm pretty stuck on that. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get past him or not. I've tried quite a number of times, and it's just like instant. I don't know. There must be a tactic or something that I am not aware of, because he just like annihilate. And I'm going in with like full 200 health, every weapon possible. Like I am like, that's the thing too. These games are like super kind of the only way to find those secrets. It's just wall checking, you know? So, like, I'm checking every fight. And, like, I can't not do it. I have to get the 100%. I have to do it. It's like, I am just fucking going along these long hallways and just, like, hitting the button over and over and over again and finding every secret. But if you do that, you get a lot of cool shit, cool weapons and stuff. And that's the thing, too. You can add on. This launcher has so many layers to the mods you can do. So, like, you can, turn on Wolfenstein Brutal Doom. So now you're in those maps. And then there's weapon pack mods. So you can change the weapons in it. So I have, like, an enhanced weapon system that I'm using or have access to. And, yeah, I have some crazy-ass weapons that I did not know were in Wolfenstein either, you know. But so I'm going in there with even those. And it's just, like, the guy's still vaping me. So we shall see. But really fucking cool. And, yeah, I mean, if you have... You know, like I said with Legend of Zelda, like if you have any nostalgia for these games, this VR adaptation of them is just, I just cannot explain how incredible it is to re-experience it that way. You know, it's just so, I don't know, such an incredible furthering of your, whatever imagination you might have applied to playing that game. Yeah. 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I love Doom, love Duke Nukem. Never got into the Wolfenstein. I just saw the Nazis. I was like, I'll pass. I don't even want to deal with Nazis. But I get the appeal.
Yeah. It's I mean, you don't have to hang out with them or anything. They're just you're just vaping them. It's to me it's kind of cool because there's all the, I don't know, there's just a lot of little things that kind of, it's more rooted in reality, I guess, and that's kind of interesting to me, you know. As opposed to the fully fantastical fucking portal to hell thing going on with Doom 2, you know. But very much of the same vibe for sure, just as far as mechanics and everything. It's essentially the same game, just a little more basic or a little less developed, I guess. So I've been playing a lot of that, and then I still pick up Night in the Attic and VR on my Quest every now and again when I want like a relaxed experience. It's super, especially compared to these things, which are just like, they're not quite Doom 2016 level of intensity as far as like VR shooter goes, but it's way different than just something chilling in place and like kind of mellowing out. So still playing that a little bit, and then I started a Kill Quest on Willow on the NES.
Oh
yes,
gosh, I hate everything Willow.
Really? Everything about it is a very extreme thing. I mean, I don't really have too much of an opinion either way. I'm not like a Willow fan. I wouldn't mind rewatching the movie because I think however long, well, I know how long ago it was, quite a while ago, but the issues are 9 and 10 that I'm using from Nintendo Power as like my source material, literature of antiquity while I play. So it was quite some time ago, I guess, that we were talking about that, but I don't really remember it, and I kind of wouldn't mind rewatching the original. I, of course, have no interest in the new one. I'm sure it's horrific, but I wouldn't mind rewatching it. So yeah, I mean, it's fine. As far as the source material goes, whatever. But the game, man, I'm glad that I'm doing it this way. I don't think, as I kind of hypothesized when we like really basically kicked around as a potential side quest option, I don't think it makes me worry about any of those real-time ones. I just don't know. There's just not enough complexity in the dialogue trees and stuff to have all like the way we do those side quests. There's just not as much there, you know. So I don't know. There's less to interpret, and so much of the side quests are about us interpreting these basic iterations of these vast and somewhat complex story worlds. Right. I don't know if that will work, you know. Even like Crystallis is one we have on there that I think maybe like it is a infinitely more complex game. There is a much more complex story, but I just don't know if the gameplay will lend itself to the same thing. I don't know, because you can't just set the controller. I mean, you can pause, but like it's fast, you know, it's faster paced, you know. I just don't know if it'll work. In any event, it is great for this though, and just playing through it and just, you know, momentarily consulting a Nintendo Power when I'm kind of don't know what's going on, or I would like a little bit of a hint of what to do, so it's really fun doing that. And it's cool, I'm streaming it, of course, so some of the disciples are popping in and hanging out. Al's fucking walking me through some of the clunky shit in the beginning, because it's a Nintendo game, so there is a little bit of stuff. There's not a lot, in all honesty, and dude, it's Capcom, so like, I shouldn't be too surprised. They're fucking incredible in this era. But like, this is 1989. This is early Capcom, early NES. I'm kind of blown away by some of the quality of life stuff, dude. There's a fast travel feature. Like, you find an ocarina that calls this kind of pterodactyl type thing that you rescue at one point, and it'll come pick you up, and you get to just pick these 4 major POIs in the game that are, kind of spread apart that you can just go to, so you don't have to trundle your ass through all these fucking screens, and I was like, just absolutely shocked that was there. There is, which is a little less progressive, I suppose, because it is in Dragon Warrior, but there's what amounts to an outside spell, you get the spell that, so when you finish a castle, or, you can use it to leave at any point if you're in trouble, I guess, but I use it basically when I finish, a dungeon or something. Instead of having to walk my ass all the way back out, I can just cast that spell and you're outside, so little shit like that just makes it like a lot less of the expected runaround of this game, which kind of surprised me. So it's not the problem with playing these games with these stories like this, that you want to experience the story, that's fun, but like, it's like a fucking pain to do so. Like, a lot of that is alleviated here, and I was very surprised and pleased by that. So that's cool. But yeah, just in general, the combat mechanics are kind of varied. You have both a stab, like a thrust, and a swing that's kind of like a half circle arc, so the enemy interactions, which are, like I said, real time. So there's quite a few different enemies, quite varied attack patterns to them. You have to, there's good combinations of having to use either the thrust or the swing, or combinations of them, or you have a shield and using the shield to defend on a timing based thing is there with some of the enemies. So like, the battle mechanics are also pretty complex and interesting. It's not just fucking button whacking, which is also kind of surprised me. There's a ton of items and swords and shields and magical items and spells and stuff. So there's all these different functions, just a ton of stuff going on that really make it pretty fucking enjoyable. Like, I'm impressed. I'm 4 episodes in. I've played a little less than an hour most of the time, so quite a ways in. So a good headway, and I would guess my expectation is maybe another 2 to 3 sessions like that left of it. So it's not like the longest game ever, but there's a nice bit of substance there. So yeah, it's not, I'm really, I don't know why, I just got a hair at my ass, and I was like, I feel like playing something, and I was like, fuck it, I'll stream it. And then, maybe 20 minutes into it, I'm like, holy shit, man, like, I'm going to end up beating this game for sure. Like, this is a good ass game. So yeah, that's a cool ass thing I kind of stumbled into, did not expect. And then the last thing I have is trying to figure out something kind of long for me to play. I ended up picking back up the coin game on Steam, which I talked about a while ago. It's the one-man developer where you are the kid in this kind of tiny rural town.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you have to go around and do chores and shit, to make money to go play at the arcades. So I started playing that more, and I mentioned like some of the controls were clunky and stuff, and like, it is still not great on that front, but I have gotten, like, I've figured all that shit out, so it's pretty seamless to play now. There's not as much friction of just actually interacting with it, which is nice. I've kind of figured out the nuances, and like, even the things that suck, I know how to kind of cheese them to make them suck less and make that problem go away. So, the friction is kind of gone, and I've explored more of the stuff. Like I mentioned, all these, I was doing the paper route, which was the first thing I got into to make money.
Right.
There's also babysitting and then lawn mowing. And then you can also go around, and I kind of was looking around trying to figure something out, and I saw this on a Reddit post or something, but you can also scavenge in the trash dumpsters and trash cans all over town and shit. And you find like trash, because part of the economy too is like, I don't know what else you save up for other than this really that's major, but the big thing, there's a golf cart you can get, so you don't have to use your bike. You don't have to get around on a bicycle, and the golf cart's like 10 grand. So you have to save up all this money to get that to buy from the gas station guy. So that's like the big thing that I'm saving for. But one of the way, there's this pawn shop slash recycling shop thing you can go to, and you kind of just throw all the shit into the machine and hit the button, and it just spits out a certain amount of money that these things have the value of. So one of the things you can do with that, it has this kind of this LED board on the front door or outside the front door that tells you, like, it's kind of like a stock ticker almost, and like these are the things that are more valuable today for there's a higher demand for them or something, so you can use that to then go to the arcades where you earn those tickets to get the prizes and shit, all the cool ass toys and stuff, and there's boom bus, all sorts of shit that you can get, but some of that shit on certain days is worth more money. So there's like this economy to it where you're like, you don't want to just burn your tickets on dumb shit because you want to save them up to get the better things in general, of course, but also have them available to you. So when you see like a particularly valuable thing having this value at the pawn shop, you sprint over to the arcade where it's located. And there's a bunch of different arcades too. Like I mentioned, there was like the just normal arcade kind of in the middle of town. I mentioned finding the carnival thing out by the lake last time. I also found this kind of like bigger... It's also an arcade, but there's a laser tag thing there, and that's like those don't even earn you tickets. Like you just spend money. Like it's just shit you can go do, like and that are fun. There's this laser tag game, and then there's a go-kart fucking track that you can race on, and then I keep seeing pictures for a putt-putt course somewhere. I haven't even found that, so I don't know where that's at yet, but that exists somewhere. There's another big place on the other side of town, so there's all these fucking places you can go to. So you have to like know where that item might have been by knowing the inventory at these places, and then okay, I got to pedal my ass out there and spend my tickets on it, take it back to the pawn shop and sell it for that and get this increased amount of money to help me save. And so there's like that economy thing going on, which is really cool to embrace. And then yes, the chores, dude, the mowing the lawn chore it's like, have you heard about that? I think we've talked about it briefly, but that power washing game that is like, yeah. So it's like, it's that concept of like this really zen, shouldn't be fun thing, but it's so well executed. You have like it's a push mower, so it's like you go over, you fire it up, and it's like, you can't, those things you can't really, it's like, he's a kid too, so like I don't know whether this is just, some of it, like it might just be shitty design, but it works for this because you're a kid trying to push this mower that you're not big enough for probably, so it's like kind of fucking tough to keep it online and do the thing perfectly, but like you go into the lawn, there's 4 parts of the lawn, and like, there's shit you got to deal with, the trees and stuff that you got to go around, whatever. So, but you're trying to do the perfect thing where you start all the way on the outside and do the circling till you get to the middle. So it's like, it's crazy satisfying, and you make a ton of dough when you do it, when you finish it, And if you don't finish it right, he won't pay you either. So you got to like, if you leave like patches and shit, and like, it's not like individual blades of grass. You can tell that there's like a little bit of a blockiness to it, but you can just miss a little bit and not even notice for sure, So it's nuanced enough to make it actually challenging and just crazy satisfying to execute, And same with the babysitting. I figured out the babysitting too. You like got to go into this neighbor's house. There's 2 kids running around, and they're robots too. So the robot kids, you got to pick them up. You got to put them in these like crib dock things. They look like, it looks like a machine dock, but it's like literally you put it in, and it's called the baby-matic or sleep-o-matic or something like that, and you lock them in. But if you don't, like, you go in there and they're just running around tearing the place up. They're just literally, there's a toy box and they're just pulling toys and fucking throwing them everywhere and like just making a fucking mess. They leave dirt on the floor everywhere they go and shit. So your first priority, you have a checklist. You go in there and you have like your immediate priority is get those fucking kids to bed so they stop fucking the place up. So you grab the kids, you take them to bed, and then you go back out to the living room, and yes, there's toys everywhere. So you got to pick each toy up, take it back to the toy box, and then there's this Swiffer in the corner, and you got to take the Swiffer around, and it's very similar to the lawnmower thing. Yeah. In that you gotta do the Swiffer right in the right places. You go around, clean up after them, and you can like eat their food while you're there too. And there's a survival mechanic, like I said, So there's like it's very, I don't know. I've never babysitted before, but I kind of see that you're stuck in someone's house. So like I've dog sat before, and like you're tempted to just use their shit. so like it's fucking.
Well, they should tell you, hey, you can go ahead and eat the food in the fridge. They should.
They should, but they don't tell you this. There's no parent. You just show up. Like you can just come over whenever. It's hilarious in that regard. There's so much quirky. Tender loving care in the build of it. That's so quirky. But like, yeah, they're not there. It's not like you go to their house and like the parents are leaving and they give you the rule, whatever. You just like the kids are just running amok and their parents are gone and you just come over whenever you want to deal with them, So it's funny and quirky in that regard too. But
out of everything you just said, I'm more sitting here wondering like, what type of neighborhood does this kid live in where the gas station dudes sell golf carts? Like, where are we at? Like,
dude, it's that's again, it's super quirky, but like. And like I said, it's not descript in its time setting, but like, it is just like growing up in Oberlin. Like if I had a bicycle to be able to get around with and kind of just been able to autonomously operate as a early preteen, or late preteen / early teen, it's probably just like this, dude. Like, just no supervision. You're just running around doing whatever
whatever, kid, do what you got to do.
Right, exactly. Fucking keep yourself out. Oh, you're out fucking earning money? Sure, whatever. Like, good job.
Don't die.
Yeah, don't die, right. And like that, you're avoiding traffic. You're riding that bicycle around. It's fucking, it's just, I don't know. It's so quirky and so fucking cute. And they open too, I mentioned, it's a single developer doing his own thing for, however long he's been working on this fucking thing. And so it's not done, and it probably never will be. And I mentioned how last time there was an ATM next to the convenience store where you get your like groceries before you go home, like your goose food for your pet goose, which is another just quirky thing at the house, and you have a fish tank, so you had to get fish tank food, and you gotta get your own. They sell kids cuisine, they sell frozen dinners that you gotta feed yourself with, these kids cuisines, and then like Swanson frozen dinners, Band-Aids for your health, or like quick health pick or whatever, you buy shit there. And I mentioned that there was the ATM next to it, but it had the under construction sign in front of it. Last I'd played. Now when I came back to it, he had finished the ATM. So now there's an ATM system, which they have one there. They have one over at the really far away arcade, UFO arcade with the go-kart track and shit. And this, because I mentioned you're saving for this big fucking thing, and it's just a simpler way to save, basically. And you earn interest, So it's just cool. I'll stop at my end of the day after I do all my arcade and chores and shit. I will stop into the convenience store to get my pet food and my own food. And then whatever money I have left, I will stop over the ATM and put that shit in, just like a kid. I don't know. Did you have this is a fun question, a fun nostalgia question. Did your parents take you to the bank and open up a savings account for you when you were a kid?
No, not at all. I was
really?
operating straight cash until I was like
operating straight cash
16 or something like that. Well, I think at one point, like my dad definitely worked at Bank One / Chase at one point, so I got an account before I was 18. But like I don't remember a savings account like that. No.
Really? So I remember. So it happened twice. I remember being really little because I mentioned I got an insurance settlement from my dad. Well, my dad got an insurance settlement from being in an accident right around when I was born. So when I was a kid, I was getting I was getting some money from that. So like when at some point or another, they took me to some bank and like opened a checking account in mine or a savings account in my name with one of those checks or something, Mm-hmm. And I remember being a whole thing. Like my dad ended up like taking that money and spending it on whatever dumb shit at some point. And that was like part of the divorce thing. That was like it was always his perspective that it was his money because he was the one that got injured and whatever. So that was always his perspective. So that was part of the thing when my mom died and they were like custody and all that shit. That was one of the things I remember was like one of the court talking points that like he had done whatever. So whatever. That's the whole thing. So that I didn't have that one my whole life, but I remember going to the bank and doing that. I remember sitting in the chair and remember doing it. And then also later on, I remember when I got my job at, I was in that OWA program, my freshman year of high school. So I started working when I was 14 and had, I started as working for the school. And then once they eventually got me a job at the grocery store bagging groceries, fucking collecting carts in the fucking parking lot in the snow and shit, So I was 14. You can't go to the bank and open your own account. You had to go with your parents, right? So my dad took me and like we opened an account and like I remember it was just so satisfying to have like your little checkbook and like, I don't believe I could
Did you have
write
a debit card yet? Like,
no, I don't think I could get a debit card. I think I had an ATM card, but it wasn't, you couldn't use it to make purchases, Yeah. But yeah, I remember having and I don't even think I got checks either. I don't think I was allowed to have a checking account, but I still got the little book with the deposit slips and the little ledger.
So you could write your balance.
My balance and shit. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I remember just both those experiences, just huge, like really, really satisfying kids experiences. So I just think it's a really cool, it's a nice nod to what this whole game is about. Like having your savings account and you go there, you put your little card in, you deposit it. There's also, I don't think it's functioning yet, but I've seen there's something you can like donate to get there's like some sort of also economy that you can like use to transfer money from the ATM. And like, there's just a bunch of really cool systems. Like I said, he's still adding shit constantly. It's just such a, I don't know. There's no game like it for sure, And I still don't know if it's definitely not for everyone, but like there is something about it that there is no question a sect of video game players, I guess retro-minded ones in particular, that like it will check a lot of boxes for you in this really weird, satisfying way. So yeah, I think I'm pretty hooked on it. And I also figured out one of the things too. I thought I wasn't able to play with just my Xbox controller sitting on the couch, like with it piped into my TV. And I finally figured out like all the button shit to be able, that was part of the friction too, that I had to be at my computer because there's still keyboard stuff I had to do. And I figured out, with the exception of a few things, every now and again I'll have to stand up and come over and like hit a button on my keyboard. But it's seldom enough that I can just sit on my couch and jam, And that was a huge inhibitor as well. So I think with that stuff all overcame, I'm gonna, $10,000 is a lot of money, but there's just so much about it. The skee ball is so good. Like the video games, that's what I mean. The individual developer, dude, each game is like, they're just so nuanced
like
and well developed.
Level?
Better, dude, better. They're more developed and more nuanced. I mean, like that quarter pushing game, dude. The physics in it are incredible. There's this game where it's themed as like a beach pirate thing, and like there's a shovel stuck in the sand in the middle, and you have to use this arm that you control that just has like a little circle thing on the end of it, and there's all these balls sitting on this surface, and you have to use this thing that's also round to push this like full layer of balls without hitting the shovel in the middle, and it's timed. And there's just, the physics on each little thing that you can hit are perfect. Every one of the little weird games they're all feel good, which is great because that's all the game is really, but it's surprising nonetheless because from a single developer standpoint, it has to just be so much fucking work to make those not feel shitty. Any of them feel shitty, the skee ball, I can't get enough of the skee ball, dude. I just cannot get enough of the skee ball. It's so much fun. And it's cheap. It's an individual developer. It's fine. I think I said 10, 12, 15, I don't know, it's $14, something like that. It's great. Fucking great. Can't recommend enough.